Hi guys, welcome to our channel Helm of Science. I am Shoran and I had discussed the chapter Force and Pressure with you guys in my last two videos. So in this video I will be discussing about few questions that are commonly asked from this chapter, and these questions will help you guys to prepare well for your exam. So the first question which is commonly asked is question number 1 is define force. It is a very basic question and I had discussed it in my video. So you guys can write that a force is a simple push or a pull, simple push or a pull. Force can also be defined as a cause which changes the state of rest and motion, state of rest and motion of an object. It is also the cause for the change of direction of an object. It also causes the change of shape and size of an object. And the SI unit of force is Newton. So this is the answer for the question define force. So we'll move on to the next question which is commonly asked is that number question number 2 is classify force, or rather define the types of force. Define the types of force. Now I discussed that there are two types of forces. One is contact force and the other one is non-contact force. The contact force is the force which applies on a body when they are in contact, and when the body is not in contact, we can term it as contact force. So contact force can be further classified as muscular force and frictional force. Frictional force or the force of friction. The muscular force is the force which takes place due to the muscles. If we pull a bucket of water is an example of muscular force. Frictional force comes into play when there is relative motion between two objects which are in contact, and always the frictional force acts in the direction which is opposite to the direction of application of force. Now, non-contact force can be further classified into gravitational force. Gravitational force, it is a force with which every object is pulled towards the center of the earth. And magnetic force, for example, when the iron pins are attracted towards magnet, it is the magnetic force. And lastly, I'm writing it over here, electrostatic force, the force which exists between two charged objects, or a charged object and a non-charged object. So when you are asked to define the types of force, you have to explain details about all the types and their classifications. So the next question which is asked is uh, classify force classify force classify The following examples classify the following examples according to the types of forces. Now the example number 1 given is when we sieve grains, small particles fall down. Now this example is an instance of the particles are falling down, so it is an instance of gravitational force. Gravitational force is your answer. Now the second example is, wait, second example is pulling a bucket of water, or carrying a suitcase. The answer is muscular force. You have to use your muscles to do this, muscular force. And the third one is iron pins are attracted towards a piece of bar magnet. Iron pins are attracted towards a piece of bar magnet. So this is an example of magnetic force. Now moving to the next question. This was question number 2, I suppose. Sorry, this was question number 3. So question number 4 states that it is often asked that define torque. Now I had explained you guys torque in my first video. Torque is nothing but the force which has a tendency to rotate an object about a fixed point. So you can say that the turning effect of force, it can be defined as the turning effect of force acting on a body about a fixed point. Now we had discussed that the SI unit. Now first we have to mention that it can be defined mathematically as a product of perpendicular distance and the magnitude of force. SI unit is, so torque can be defined as the product of force, magnitude of force, and the perpendicular distance d, magnitude of force F. So SI unit is Newton meters, and the factors on which torque depends are the perpendicular distance between the point of application of force and the pivot point, and the second point is the magnitude of forces. So you should also include these two points also in your answer. So the next question, that is question number 5. Now the question number 5 says that the weight of a person on the moon is less than on the earth. Give reasons. So I discussed this in my first video that we can define weight as the product of mass and the gravitational force. Mass and the force of gravity. Now mass is the amount of matter which is contained in the body, and this amount of matter is same whether it is on the earth or on the moon, so it is constant. However, the force of gravity of the moon is almost 1 by 6th times than of the earth. So force of gravity on the moon is 1 by 6 times of that of the earth. So naturally the weight on the moon is much less and is thus 1 by 6 times of the weight on the earth. So we have to define this equation in our answer. So we have to give this logic. Now the next question which is often asked is this is question number 6. Define pressure. Now I discussed that pressure is equal to the force acting per unit area. Force acting per unit area. So mathematically it can be defined as pressure can be defined as force per unit area, and thus the SI unit becomes SI unit is force is Newton and area is meter square. So Newton per meter square, and it can be described Pascal. So SI unit of pressure is Pascal. Now the next question is it is easier to walk on soft sand with flat shoes rather than shoes having high heels. Give reasons. So we know the relation of pressure as pressure is equal to force per unit area. So in case of flat shoes the area is much more. This area is much more. This is in case of flat shoes. Area is much more, so pressure is much less. While in case of high heels, this area is much less. So naturally the pressure becomes much more. Hence it becomes easier to walk on flat shoes. Now the next question says that scuba divers have specially designed suits. Question number 8. Scuba divers have specially designed suits. Give examples. Now we know that liquid pressure increases with the depth of the liquid column. So at lower depths in the sea, the liquid pressure is much more. So to protect them from that high liquid pressure, scuba divers have to wear some specially designed suit. So this is the answer should be liquid pressure increases with depth. So to counteract that liquid pressure, we have to, like the scuba divers have to wear specially designed suits. So the next question says, question number 9. Question number 9, which is a very, it's quite often asked. It is the state the properties of liquid pressure. Now, what are the properties that I had discussed? Like exert, equal pressure at all points at the same depth. Liquid exerts equal pressure at all points at the same depth. Liquid exerts pressure on the walls of the container. Liquid pressure increases with depth. Liquid pressure increases with density. Also, the liquid pressure is independent on the shape and size of the container. So these are the properties of liquid pressure. And last question, which is a numerical, which is often asked, is that force of 100 newtons is applied on an area of 4 meters square. Find the pressure applied. Find the pressure applied. So we know pressure is equals to force per unit area. Force is given as, force is 100 newtons, area is 4 meters square. By the problem, pressure equals to 100 divided by 4 Newton by meter square. It becomes 25. Pressure is 25 Newton per meter square or 25 Pascal. So this is the answer. So these are more or less few questions which are commonly asked in your exam. So if you like the video, if you find it useful, please like our video, share our video and subscribe to our channel.